So, hey guys, how's it going? Right.
Good.
So, I'm pretty sure we know what the agenda is for today. When we're talking about the fourth industrial revolution, and just to introduce each one of us to everyone that's watching, I'm Tawanda. You can I come from Zim naturally, and where we are right now, we're in Maboneng, at the Mojo Urban Culture Shop. You can come out, check us out. This is the shop right here. It's cool. Definitely don't miss out on that. And then we have Ras Jabulani here with us, and I'll just like for him to actually do his introduction, if he could, please.
Yes, sir. Greetings in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah, elect of Jah Rastafari. I further greet you through Her Imperial Majesty Empress Uzara Meninai, Alpha and Omega, blessed love. Greetings.
Respect. And then we're gonna introduce Sister V. Let's go.
Well, I'm Sister Wangai, and I also come from Zimbabwe, naturally, apparently. And I'm here to add the voice of the female black Africans in this period and share my own experiences and put my own input into the conversation of where we stand with the fourth industrial revolution.
Okay, cool. So like just to kick us off, like I just want when we're having this discussion, we want to try and center it around something, because the fourth industrial revolution is a pretty broad topic and there's so many angles to talk about it. So we're just going to try and take this angle coming in from the Rasta movement perspective, right? Particularly we're going to look at what His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie had to say about technology in general or science and how it can influence our lives. So he was speaking at a time that was between the period of 1935 to like about the 1960s. And in that time, we were seeing a lot of shift with technology as well. That's when I think they had the moon mission. A lot of wireless technology was also becoming more prominent. And this was a time where he could see that a transition was going on in terms of the value of technology in that time. And he thought that it was something that we should spend a lot of time in. So I'm just going to kick it off with you, Ras Jabulani, in terms of like what you can tell us from what you know His Majesty said about technology.
Well, basically,
Yes,
why
so
not just read that speech of His
right?
Majesty?
Yes,
that was from 1958.
1958. Let me
And his
actually
head
go
strong
right
as well, the 23rd of July.
there. Okay, so here it goes. Yes. Okay. So as you know, leadership is required in all fields, and no field without its usefulness. During our visits, however, to the educational institutions of our country, we noticed, in answer to our inquiries, that the percentage of students pursuing courses of study useful for the development of technology and industry has been extremely low. We have therefore counseled you to take up technological and industrial courses in preparing for an overall program. The reason for our introducing this topic at present is that we have found the number of those receiving degrees in technological subjects today to be very small indeed, and wish to impress upon you all that it is our desire to see a much larger number of young people benefiting from the resources we on our own have received as aid from abroad and in graduating fields of technology and industrial education. So I think basically from that reading there, we're seeing that he's actually pressing for young people to pursue technology. And there was obviously a benefit towards that. So while I look for the next reading, I don't know if you want to say something.
Well, if we look at really at the time when His Majesty was really in the development or the development of Ethiopia and encouraging the youths now to look towards how we're going to develop along the lines of modern technology at hand within that time. Now, if we look at the period again, what was as precede the time then of from the First World War, again, it was an industrial revolution again within itself, because it was again the order trying to deprive the world majority of the world population access to the wealth of the world, right? So they had to actually create land laws, right? So that by creating these laws, they maintain control of minerals and even agriculture. So certain things were under control and banned to people. Ones could not freely mine certain minerals.
Okay, yeah.
They couldn't freely farm certain cash crops. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then put it on the market, right? Where His Majesty now coming after freeing Ethiopia from Mussolini and the destruction that was going on during the time of Mussolini occupation of Ethiopia, right? Getting now the Ethiopian youths now who are now going to be, because a lot of the elder ones were fighting and so forth, it was more now the strength of the youths who are there, right? To educate themselves, skill train themselves to now rebuild and build Ethiopia, right? 'Cause again, Ethiopia was the only part of Africa. We're talking the transition from Abyssinia, right, to the Italians calling it Ethiopia to make it now,
Like
you know,
one
part of the control of the whole of the continent.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we're talking Rome.
Yes, 100%. Right?
You see what I'm saying? Now, taking now the gem within the continent now, Ethiopia. This is where it had to now move forward. Now, His Majesty couldn't do it alone. While the continent was still under colonization, right? And the liberation of the continent again became the same thing of the leaders now. Those who fight the liberation war, right? You had those who were ready to go into the bush, go up on the battlefield physically, whilst others were being sent to train. Many went into exile, were there to educate themselves, to then, when they come into, right, taking control of their own land, they would be able to also technically advance the modernization of the country and keep it in line. Now, if the youths are not prepared for that, then we're going to have a serious lapse. And then others will still be the main controllers of the land. You see?
So like from what I'm getting from you there, you're talking a lot about the actual control of the land and the resources and the technology that works the land, and that's a pretty interesting angle that, right? We're definitely going to develop that one a little bit more. But I just want to hear from Mongai, like your thoughts on that speech that we just read now, where he's just talking about the youth and being inclined to have a technological training or have a preparation in terms of technology and understanding how it works and how it can influence the things around you. I just want to hear your thoughts around that.
What I find interesting about the statement is that he was addressing the youth of that time. And what concerns me is that did not, the youth of that time are now the elders of today. And it seems there's been a gap ever since. And when we were growing up, we were not encouraged to go and pursue technological careers. It was pretty much shunned upon or looked down upon. And if you wanted to go and do IT, it got better with time, yes. But we truly suffered, because to this day now we can look at, it's still happening, because we all see that technology is the answer to move forward, and our understanding of it will resolve a lot of things. But then we also suffer from the fact that the people who are in power right now are still our elders, and the people who do have money in this day and age are still our elders. So how do we then deal with the fact that the youth of today understand technology and the way forward and what we're supposed to be implementing, but then the youth that were addressed by Emperor Haile Selassie at that time, who are our elders today, do not seem to communicate or live by that message. They have not encouraged that in our system. So a lot of issues that we're facing today, we should not have to be facing those issues, and we should not have to be suffering as much from the impacts of what colonialization had on us, because technology in its own sense is also a way, like he was insinuating, was that it's a sort of source of our freedom. It's the one-way ticket in which we can take ourselves out of that oppressed environment and put ourselves on the platform where the global community actually recognizes us. So I see that it's a failure on a broad base of our systems, from government to business and just society in general. Because as we have seen that with the coronavirus and what it's done, we've seen that the ones that are moving forward are the ones that are already engaged technologically. So now, but then there's only a few of the people whereas we should have a bigger community on the technological platforms. We could be moving faster. But even now, in as much as we keep talking about the fourth industrial revolution and technology in general, we are still not being active enough to actually push ourselves forward, because there are simple things that we could do that do not even require a lot of money for us to implement those changes, for us to actually have, like our elders, spread the message faster and teach us about what was said back then and where we have fallen short. So we also now have this gap between the elders and the youth, and we are clashing, but we're not supposed to be clashing. We've always based our culture, African cultures in general, based on oral tradition. And oral tradition is pretty much back now with technology, because here we are right now. We're learning from each other. We use YouTube, Instagram, all those things. So I guess that's it's all fair and fine that it was said very clearly, but then I guess my question is, what happened to the youth of that time, who are now our elders, that made them not actually take on the message and actually implement it in our environment, so that we wouldn't have to be where we are at right now.
Okay, then that's an interesting point. Just to say that, like, with terms of technology and the let's say our parents or grandparents' generation, them not taking it up as much, them not hearing it from His Majesty directly, we can sort of excuse, because we understand that this information was not readily available as it is now today, right? Where I can just literally go on my phone and here it is, His Majesty speeches. Getting this or this message might have been a little bit more difficult. But even without that, now we know we're living in a time where this information is readily available. You can actually look it up, you can find out what His Majesty said and when and where, and what the whole idea about technology is. But again, we're looking at the idea, which I'm seeing coming out from you as well, is like, who is in control of that, right? Are we making it use for ourselves, and are we controlling it for ourselves? Or are we just playing a game inside someone else's game, right? Exactly, which makes it a little bit more complicated to do things. But does that mean, even if we are playing a game inside someone else's game, is it an excuse to not pursue technology? Should we give it up? Or is it still something that we need to go for? So I don't know what, Ras Jabulani.
Well, as we look at it, then let's look in the time of His Majesty and I as youth, the realization then to even say we were Rasta then, right? First thing to begin with, most of our parents would shun with, right? And even to talk on the positiveness of, because anything that we say now, we want, first thing in the early days, you must get a job. You must learn a profession, right? A lot of us were then encouraged to go and get an apprenticeship. If you couldn't get the grades to then be able to go to a university, it wasn't easily accessible for us, right, in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, to afford to go to university. You see what I'm saying, right? Many would opt to get an apprenticeship or go to a technical college or so, right? Now, even at that point, getting the qualifications and then getting a job, right? Not being encouraged to set up your own companies, business, because again, financially, we are seriously marginalized, right? To set up your companies, set up a serious business, dealing with the laws, the rules and regulations of getting a company going and so forth, tax, rary and so forth, seriously made it hard. And even where you, let's say, in the Caribbean, even so, to get premises to set your business, if you don't set it in your own yard or so, to work from yard is not easy. If you live in uptown, in the ghetto, to have that space, you see that right here now. You see what I'm saying, right? The encouragement by parents, most of the parents were already working, laboring for the same people that keep us under oppression. So basically now, if you talk anything which was seen to be revolutionary, right? No, you can't do that, you know. Really, no, man, you have to look. The thing is, yes, you were being encouraged to get the job, to try to be respectable, be a good Christian person, man. A woman, or a Muslim, being upstanding, right? But upstanding again marginalize you, cause again with the class distinction of, all right, when you now you're educated a certain way, you're ostracized by the rest of the community to a certain level, because you probably know, you see what I'm saying. So there was too much fear that was within our parents, right? Of now you get certain education, you're starting to think too radical. You see what I'm saying? You start, you know what I mean?
Too westernized.
Right? Some would say, but then you see those who get so westernized, then gone more into the West, you know, wanna be white, wanna be, you know, rather than wanna be you.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? Again, the trends that was being created to say, no, you must be something else to be standing in that society. So you find that even those that of us that got the education, and you find that now within the leadership, now it transcends itself, because look what happened to the overthrowing of Nkrumah. By educating the youths, sending them out, getting that, right? Who was educating them? It wasn't us. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't our people educating us. So, because we didn't have the infrastructures set, right, to afford to educate our masses to the level of then being able to take the technology that we create. Remember this, you know. Remember that from slavery day, right? From we were taken out to the Americas, to the Caribbean,
very skilled,
to Europe. We are the ones that develop all what we are using today in terms of technology. It is not taught in the schools about it. You know, from Latimer, right, to, you know, with the electricity, to the from the light bulb to the telegraph line to the telephone to now what we have as the cell phone and internet. It's still us who invent that. You know what I mean? We invent. You see what I'm saying? We are the inventors of all the major technology that is being used, but we are not told about it. So it's part of the empowerment
of the
being actually deprived from us of knowing who we are and what we are capable of. That is what is the fear of the capitalist. Knowing what we are capable of. And if we are then massing together with the heights of technology, right, we'll be a lot further than where we are now.
Okay, so like what you're saying there again, right, is that so now the control has to be within our own hands.
It has
Technology will never be useful to us unless we're controlling it. And that implies, I guess, getting skilled up in it, first of all, and then also now implementing it on our own. As much as we have skills, it doesn't help if I go and get skilled up in technology, but then I come back and implement it in the name of some other system or some other company that has no interest of what's going on down there. But just so like in terms of that, Mwanga, in terms of controlling our own technology and having control of it, what other steps do you think people can take? Is it something that we're doing right now, or are we completely missing the mark in terms of implementing technology to the African youth of today?
I think we're still missing the mark in terms of not realizing that a lot of our education starts in the home. If your parents start teaching you from a young age about technology or introducing you to, let's say, JavaScript, all those type of, technical stuff. If you start getting accustomed to it, if they make sure that instead of stuffing you at school and stuffing you with like more work, because what a lot of parents then end up doing and believing that education is the answer, they just see a one-way street. And what the elder was just saying, that the people responsible for educating us in these institutions, not really, because we still have, African teachers in these institutions. It's just the method, the system that's been set up teaches us the wrong way of what we need to learn. Like with Africa, we are still learning to stand. We are still taking control of our land and a lot of our resources. And to do that, we need to understand things like entrepreneurship. We need to understand things like innovation. And the funny thing about entrepreneurship and innovation is that it's not taught in schools. It's not something that is taught. So one step that parents can take is, when you look at your child, recognize their abilities, see what their interests are, because that's pretty much what most athletic families have done. Like if you look at Serena Williams and Venus, they grew up being coached by their father. All those things that we see, apprenticeships, because we need to start realizing that our education that we're being taught in institutions is not enough, or is not even right, in the sense that we are taught copy pasting in school. That's what we're taught. We're not taught to really think for ourselves and come up with our own ideas. So when we do come out of school, we are taught that you come out of school, you apply for a job, and you fall into this system. Then this company will teach you what they want you to do in their company, further boxing your mind and not allowing you to expand. And there's also a theory that, or at least it's a fact, that institutions kill your creativity. And as African black people, we are creativity defined. We are constantly thinking of things from music. That's not where we end. Acting, all those things. That's not the only place that we can exercise creativity. Creativity and technology, when they come together, it's innovation that's created. So if we can find a way to nurture the creativity of the child and the creativity of the youths, give them freedom, give them the ability to know. And let me dial it back and say that we're also taught that in life we always have to be right. We can't do anything wrong. And the society does shun us when we do get things wrong. And because of that fear of getting things wrong, we don't explore, we don't get out of our comfort zones, and which just doesn't help our creativity at all. But if we're given the freedom to be wrong, and for our society to embrace that we are all humans. We make mistakes. We can change things. It doesn't mean that when we get things wrong, we can't change them. We can change them. The same way that we can see that, okay, over the course of time, since the Majesty said what he said, there were other obstacles in the way. And obviously with his message, you were saying go to institutions, but then that doesn't really apply today, because we have the knowledge that institutions want to teach us right on our laptops, on our mobile phones. You go on YouTube, you can learn to do anything now. So we also have to learn that those words, we now have to redefine them and see what they mean to us today, what technology and learning means today. So that's, I think, by understanding that, that is how we can move forward.
Okay, because you said something there that I really like about technology being now, in a way, it's readily available for us to actually learn on our own rather than go to an institution. So technology is important, not because you only need to go into it. So you don't have to be a person who's creating the technology, but you also need to understand how to use it. And now, more than ever, right, we can actually do it. This is a time where I think as well, right, like just to give a thing with the fourth industrial revolution, one of the biggest things has been artificial intelligence, right? That's one of the driving forces. And what artificial intelligence is basically just spreading around an intelligent feature of something and making it decentralized. So now you don't have to be a specialist to have a specialist's ability, right? And that's a game changer to actually imagine that. And now you're taking specialist abilities and you're giving them to people, like you said, who are creative. And that's a combination that's almost like limitless now, because now it's not a question of can I do it, it's actually a question of should I do it, right?
Well, let's look at it like this. Right. One, all this now, let's look at how the virus, the lockdown, the whole thing set to bring in this fourth industrial revolution, right? First thing to begin with, there had to be a lockdown. There has to be a process of elimination, right? There has to be a change in laws and regulations, right? Majority of the people who are already skilled and trained after this lockdown will not have a job.
Yeah, true.
Right. Why? Because most of them are skilled and trained to work for somebody, to have a job, and not to create or run their own business, right? Majority of people have been put in separation of even family. Most children now in the urban cities don't actually live in a full what they call nuclear family.
Exactly. Okay,
you see what I'm saying, right? It's majority are single parents, and most who even have parents don't know their parents because they grew up more with other people. Either orphaned or grow up with their go-goers or so forth. You see what I'm saying, right? So therefore now, for the parents, even who are looking after a family, to be able to be there to educate, now this has become the real test again. For ones now to crave to send their children to school, rather than be able to do home schooling, home education, right? How do you do that when you're living in a shack, right? Or in a small house with just 2 rooms and you can't even swing a cat. You know what I mean? And you to set up that form of practical as well as technical, because again, to use the technology at hand, majority of the technology that is easily available to ones and ones, is the technology of communication. Right? But then the technology of production. This is where the revolution is pulling people away from the fact that they're robotizing and mechanizing the mines, the factories, even the fields.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
Which then limits the amount of labor that the corporations and the big businesses would want to depend on.
Yes.
Instead, they make that labor now dependable on the state.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? Because now most are going to be redundant.
Yes. Right.
Those who are redundant now,
Yeah.
psychologically, how many of them are going to even want to teach their youths?
Right.
How many of them are going to be equipped to teach and then set up a business that will actually bring them into self-reliance?
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right? So we have to be exploring how then do we get, even if everyone start up their small business, variant thing,
Yes.
we have that tendency of finding that, let's look at those who are vending and hustling on the streets. You go along the street and you see 10 people selling the same product
Yeah.
at the same price.
Yes.
You see, standing right next to
each other.
one another,
Yeah.
right? And they're outside the shop that is supplying them.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then where is the self-reliance? How many do you see of those who are producing their own thing, having a market? If they can't produce to say finished product, then supplying another one to help another one to help another one. Because we've been forced not to trust doing business with one another,
Yes.
right? We still have to re-nurture this trust that, we can freely do business together,
Yes.
and we can help each other rather than, no, if I help him, he's going to get richer than me and do, and think. No, this one now is oppressing me. This one, we have to be changing constantly this mindset that has been nurtured from the days of slavery.
Yes.
You see, right? It cannot work overnight because it has become genetically
Yeah.
Ingrained.
into our DNA.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yes. Exactly.
So it's gonna take serious,
of intentional effort.
you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
exactly, yeah.
Of first coming together. The psychology of the lockdown is to segregate, social distancing. So again, with that mindset now, how do we come together to work together?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Without fear of, I'm gonna make you sick, and then I would, you know,
We can't
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what
and
you
thing,
mean.
you see. So all this is gonna still be in the mindset, even of the youth,
Yeah. Right.
right?
Don't have to,
Because they are being taught now they can't play together, they can't hug together, right?
Yeah.
Because of a virus,
Yeah.
right? At the same time, they are told, no, the youth, it's all right for the youth because they are more resistant. But then, how are the feelings of the youths when they go home and they're giving that virus over to their elders? You see, or the psychological effect of them seeing the elders passing.
Pass on.
Again, with the secrecy of how this thing is going, most ones are not sure if they really die of the COVID.
Yeah.
Right? So again, it rings in, what are you going to learn when they're still arguing, the elders are arguing about, should I send my children to school? How am I going to homeschool them? What is the end product of me homeschooling them? If now, anyway, if there's no jobs, why should we even worry about them matriculating.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? If now we can create our own business,
Yes.
how many people, right, are actually running their own business without the given education that ones are talking that takes you to the top?
Yeah, right.
You see what I'm saying? We complain about even enough of our government people.
Yeah.
How did he get that job? He's not educated. Now it's because of his not being educated. He's corrupting. You know, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're getting these sentiments now, right? So this is the thing now of bringing it together, getting that nurturing that we can. Your ability, your creativity is going to sync with mine. And mine is going to help you as, you can market my product. And you can think so that,
So the
we
collaboration
are collaborating, we are helping one another, right?
Yeah.
But once this psychological mental warfare that we are going through within this fourth separational liberation revolution, you know what I'm saying? We have to look at the devastating effects that what is happening now.
Yeah.
Look at what they're saying, Black Lives Matter. We've been saying that from the beginning, right? Why does it, and it's even dividing us more now,
Strangely
rather than bringing us together.
Yeah, right.
You see, so even when we talk of unity, why does when we talk of unity separate us more than actually bringing us together?
Yeah.
This again, it's our perception of values.
Yes.
What do we value? Why do I value myself higher than you?
Yeah, right.
When I am the elder to you, I should be the one that is humbling and setting that foundation to guide you, to take it further.
Yes.
And if you've achieved more than what I've achieved, it should be a glory rather than, hey, no, how can I make this you look better than me? You know what I mean? So these are the things that we need to look seriously on binding us together.
Yeah.
The real brotherhood, the real sisterhood, the real family, rather than talking about it, make it work.
Okay, and I totally get that. And like one thing you keep on talking about there is collaboration. And I just want to ask one guy now, like, what does collaboration look like for you in the fourth industrial revolution in the African perspective? Like, what do you see for a way forward in terms of us collaborating, building businesses, like you've said? Education is another thing that keeps coming forward. So let's just focus on those things: businesses and education, and how we can collaborate in that using the fourth industrial revolution.
Well, in terms of businesses, we obviously have the businesses that have and the businesses that do not have. And the businesses that do not have are the businesses that are falling right now, or failing rather, or literally being obliterated during this period. And the businesses that do have needs to start actually building and encouraging like a system of collaboration and cooperation. We need to stop looking at each other as competitors, because that's what the institutions teach us about, competing. We should always be in competition with each other. But like the elder is saying, that we all have our different attributes. All businesses also have their different attributes. We should actually be taking this time to sit at a table with business leaders and being like, okay, this is what you're good at. You're good at manufacturing. You're good at media. You're good at production. Whatever the situation may be, there are ways in which they can build or integrate to actually move forward faster. Because the sad thing that's happening right now is that when lockdown happened, all the small businesses were shut down, and the businesses that were allowed to continue operating were big businesses, 100%. Were corporations. And that does not help our community. Yes, they talk about how they hold more jobs, but then that does not empower us, because that's not putting money into our societies and our communities. It's not solving our problems. And the people who are most likely going to understand those problems are what? Small businesses. Because they have to deal with people on the ground from day to day. They know the struggles that they face from just being black owned or just not having enough, or just whatever the situation may be, because we have plenty of problems that small businesses face. But then at the same time now, we can say all that, but small businesses themselves need to stop thinking or having the mentality of, I'm in this alone. It's just me. I'm the only one who's struggling. I don't know. I have to solve my own problem. And it keeps us from actually going out and seeking those who can resolve those problems. A lot of people have been retrenched. A lot of people don't know what the way forward is. And for me, when I look at it, I'm like, there's a whole lot of opportunity, because we have a whole lot of issues in our societies that can be solved just by us coming together. So now, as businesses, what the type of propaganda that needs to be set out there is the building of trust and actually sharing our problems, and not thinking, because I think the problem of thinking that we're in this alone comes from not sharing. We don't share. We don't talk about the fact that when consumers come into the stores or into a company, they don't respect small businesses in as much as they respect big businesses. And the tragic thing about big businesses is that they're not African owned. They're bringing money out of our systems. And when we deal with small businesses, they would be bringing money into and keeping money in our societies. And the faster they can grow is the faster our communities can grow and actually do better. And if we share the problems, then we can also come up with solutions faster together. And then when you look at like community, the issue of trust, that's the biggest killer of most small businesses. That trust issue, that trust factor. Because obviously when they say that, okay, corporations could stay open because they've got higher standards, they can resolve issues faster and all those things, but then they make it seem as if these solutions are solutions that cannot be, resolved in cheaper means or cheaper ways, or by simply just educating each other. It's like, okay, you need to protect yourself. What happened? Everybody got masks, everybody got face shields and everything. But a lot of those materials were actually inexpensive. But then when you think about solutions, we always think expensive. But solutions don't have to be expensive. Solutions can start by simply educating each other, simply educating the people around us. And part of that is getting people to understand that supporting small businesses is the answer. You going to a fancy store is not the answer. Right now, if you do have the money, put it in small businesses, because that's where majority of the people are, or at least the majority of the people will be helped. Corporations, they're going to keep telling us about our problems. They're going to keep telling us about problems that are faced by people outside of Africa. And that's another thing, that when we come to talk about technology, the solutions that people from outside Africa come up with are not the solutions we need. And as a result, because they're setting the trend, most of the people that can start businesses or that are starting businesses that do not resolve our problems. They're starting businesses, luxury brands. We don't need we don't need luxury brands. We need businesses that solve our problems, that actually raise our own platform, because we have to realize that by empowering our own people, then our people can afford to buy more of our own products. And even if we then have the luxury products, then we can also afford to buy those luxury products. Let's make it equal for everybody. Let's redefine what technology means to Africa as well. Exactly, That's what we need to understand. What does it mean for us as Africans? What do we need to resolve?
So as we get towards just wrapping this up, we want to focus on a few key technologies that I think can actually, push forward some of these problems, or bring forth solutions to some of these problems that we've discussed, in terms of controlling our own technology, understanding how we're going to use this technology for our own benefit, boosting businesses, and educating the people that need to be taking advantage of this technology coming in with the fourth industrial revolution. Wealth is an important part of doing any of that, right? You can't build schools, you can't educate, and you can't control if you don't have control of the wealth. One technology coming in is cryptocurrencies. So we know how Bitcoin is one of the most popular cryptocurrencies, and as of now, Bitcoin has no intrinsic value besides the belief that the people that buy into it have. So what cryptocurrencies have done is that it's created a system where you can create a currency that's purely based on the support that it gets. But trust is built into the currency, so you can almost keep track of where these resources are being spent. This is an interesting solution for us now because we're talking about having one of the biggest buying power markets on the globe, which is what's labeled the black community. If we can get that entire community behind one cryptocurrency, let's just say, maybe we won't even get, even if we can just get 20% of the black global market behind a cryptocurrency that's controllable by the people that buy in, because it's intrinsic with you buying into it, and it drives towards certain goals. And in this case, I'm proposing the goals would be developing what we call small businesses, we'll now understand as black African businesses that use this cryptocurrency to boost themselves, and also the education for the general African, the black African on the planet to advance themselves in terms of education, because maybe you need to allocate resources for them to learn how to use technology, create technology, or control technology in this technological time that we're going into. So I just want to hear your thoughts around that idea of having a black cryptocurrency that's driven towards boosting small businesses, educating the people on technology and any other skill that they want to, pursue. So Wongai, you can start us off with that one. Then we'll have Ras Jabulani to close us off in terms of that.
Well, that's a big drop right there. Cryptocurrency. I think cryptocurrency, because it's dependent on trust, it's a big step to take. And it's one that I would say we should be ready to take, but we are not ready to take, because we need to just simply resolve the issue of black trust amongst ourselves on the ground. Because if we trust each other and we trust the concept of investing in each other's businesses and let go of the risk factors, because let's face it, yes, there's a high risk in investing in small businesses, black owned specifically, because unfortunately it's due to things that are not in their control, because we get affected by the fact that we don't trust each other in the black community, and the fact that when we do try to pursue ventures that raise money for our businesses, we're trapped by other aspects of the system that we're trying to work in. Because if you do try to move forward, and if you are actually doing well, like you said, there's a company that can afford to come in and spend $1 billion. They can come in and spend $1 billion, but then we need to start making people realize that the fact that these guys can come in and spend $1 billion, it's not a thing to be glorified, because you have to realize they're spending $1 billion to get how much from that billion. They're investing. They're not doing these things just to provide jobs and do good for us, because that's not the reality on the ground. It's about how much they're taking out of our system. So by disintegrating that notion, then at least we can move forward and then start talking like cryptocurrency, because that won't come about until we trust, because we don't even trust our own currencies. That's why there's new, because with cryptocurrency, what it mainly introduces is a decentralized system. It's not really the trust system or something that we have more control over, because paper money is something that is also dependent and reliant on trust. If we trust our own currencies, our currencies can do better. But because we value other currencies outside of Africa, those currencies end up having more power over us. So yes, in taking a step forward into cryptocurrency, if we empower our own cryptocurrency, then we're not repeating the same thing again and introducing the same flaws that we have with paper money. and introducing them into the cryptocurrency area of things.
Yeah.
If we then realize the power that we have, capital, all over the world, if we empower ourselves overnight, we can literally do it overnight.
Yeah, we can.
But because we have all these, there's something, that black association that there's bad, it actually holds us back. So we need to start having the discussion of how do we switch on that light switch that makes us all wake up and be like, if we woke up today and decided to empower ourselves, we literally could do it overnight.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Realizing that power, we need to realize how much power we do have, because we're constantly taught about how much power we don't have, constantly taught about how much poverty is on the continent, how much this, how much that. It's all bad, bad, bad. But we actually are capable of so much more because we hold the social capital.
Yeah, 100%. So your concern is not the ability of technology like a cryptocurrency in it helping the black community on the planet. It's actually the ability for the black community to realize
their power
and and activate and use this power. Okay, that's interesting. So I don't know, what's your perspective?
Well, how I would say it, look, on the American US dollar, what does it say? In God we trust. Right? And what does it say in the Bible? It say, ye are all gods, ye who are the children of the Most High. Right? And as Rastafari say, we are the children of the Most High. So therefore now, let's trust in the gods that we are. Right? And let's look at the cryptocurrency as it is the products that we are producing, that we have given value to, that we are bartering and exchanging with one another. You see what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying now, is valuing what we are producing amongst ourselves. Right? That is our currency. Right? The US dollar is just a promissory note.
Yes, 100%.
The pound sterling is just a promissory note. The yuan is just a promissory note.
Yes.
So that I can exchange, because I did work for this money, I can legally use it as legal tender to take. Right. What I'm saying now, right? I can exchange these products with you for your products, because I have a market for your products. I know you have a market for my products. I will then eventually turn it into currency, because it still becomes currency for me to exchange with the eye for his product to move that product on another market. You see what I'm saying? Basically, this is what we're doing to circumventing going into the commercial banks. We are now building that trust within us, moving product. Moving product is moving money. So if we have product, we have money. And we are sitting on wealth. You see what I'm saying? It's turning that into the product. We have wealth under our feet. We grow wealth, right? We then are wealth ourselves, because it's no use unless we put it to use. It's when we become creative and put it and make it a product, becomes usable for ones and ones. This is what we have to realize now. And it's all of a process. I cannot do everything alone. That's why I'm needing one-on-ones. You see? So this is why we need to cut out the competition. If we're dealing with competition, it is to alleviate ourselves in making sure that our products reach and continues a standard. That it stays on the market.
Yes, 100%.
You see what I'm saying? Not to say I want to cut throat and cut your market out.
Exactly. No.
You see what I'm saying? This is where we should be working, or we see, to make the cryptocurrency, right, friendly for everyone, knowing that they don't need to be going to the bank.
Yes, 100%, right? Because you can trust in this currency.
You see what I'm saying? Because that's it, right? Those who now have to be dealing with a currency, this is how we need to know how we are going to create our own banks away from these controlled European banks.
Like these central banks.
You see what I'm saying? That now, because the example of Zimbabwe, when you look at the banking system, right, the way it controls the spending, right? Stride Masiwa knows, his company knows how much products you as an individual is buying from a certain shop every time, because your Eco Cash is being cashed at that particular shop, buying certain products. So they know you already, right? The banks now, because now you're using the credit cards and so forth, everything is recorded.
Yes, and they know.
You see what I'm saying, right? When they don't want you to have that strength, they stop your currency.
Because then that's like, you can't have all this information about yourselves.
You see,
you might use it for empowering yourselves.
Because again, this is you've worked for your currency. Now you can self-empower yourself. Now, taking away that strength and humiliating ones and ones, down to now, elders' monies is in the bank, but they have to queue up
to get that money
for hours, right? Waiting to get not even the money they want to get, but just a little portion, because it's being rationed. Your own money.
Yes, no, crazy.
It's being rationed. You see what I'm saying? So this is where now we're looking at the thing of, they want to create a cashless society, force people onto a credit system. The credit system only works if you're legally earning and can legally say where you got that money for it to be banked.
Yes, exactly.
You see what I'm saying, right? Why they're a bit afraid of the cryptocurrency is because you don't necessarily have to be going to the bank when you're just actually exchange and bartering.
Exactly, right? Yeah, there's no need for centralizing your money in any
way.
Right?
And remember, because they're losing business. Because any transaction you make through the bank,
it's money for them. Right?
It's money for them. Even for them to hold your money, it's money for them. You see, so this is where you'll find that the banking system, the reserve banks, will have a problem with the Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency. You see what I'm saying, right? Because it's ones now putting value into their own product. They're no longer working for someone who is banking your money.
Yes.
Right?
100%.
You see what I'm saying? Right? So the technology of money is what is also governing how our existence is going. And if we look at money as just a tool, just as a promissory note, it is not what makes you rich.
It's 100%, right?
It's not your actual wealth.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? It's how you manage it.
Yes, that creates that wealth, right?
You see, increase your wealth. And your money is you if you are working for it.
Yes, 100%. Right?
If you are doing a job and getting a salary, you are the product.
Exactly. Right?
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, and you're the one that can also...
So you have to know how to value yourself.
100%.
Now, if you are creating a product away from someone else's business, and then you're selling that product, that becomes your currency.
Yeah. Exactly. And that becomes your way of control again now, right?
You see what I'm saying?
Control of your production, control of your currency.
Right. Now, if we learn and we always say respect, love, and thing, let's put it into fruition.
Yes.
That way, we put more value into ones and ones and what ones and ones are producing.
Yes.
And then, through that love and respect, we can build the trust.
Yes. Okay, yeah, no. So that's pretty, I can say, thought-provoking, right? Ideas that you had there and that you shared, and like just to end it off, I mean, we've definitely gone to the point where I think we can all see that technology can be useful. 100%. And if anyone is watching this right now, their idea should be to somehow find a way, instead of maybe resisting technology, to find a way to use it for the benefit of themselves and the people around them, because that's the only way we can progress through this time. We sort of have no choice. Fourth Industrial Revolution is happening, right? And it will change the way we do things forever. How can we position ourselves to better take advantage of this change that's happening? And in line with that, I don't know if we have any just last closing remarks, quick now, and let's see what we've got.
Well, my closing remark is also like just food for thought, that we are talking about the fourth industrial revolution, but we should also realize that the fifth industrial revolution has also been kicked off. And with the fifth industrial revolution, it's talking about equality for all. So from Black Lives Matter to Women Matter, to Africans Matter, everything. It's talking about bringing everyone onto the same level. And that's how we need to start thinking about it. Not just thinking about fourth industrial revolution, because we've been in fourth industrial revolution, it's been happening. But what Corona has done to us right now is sort of like pushed us towards like fifth industrial revolution. With Black Lives Matter coming onto the forefront, it's talking about equality, and it's become a trigger for a lot of equality issues. And a lot of people are now starting to see that for us to move forward, we really need to start dealing with each other as humans, because what is happening with the division that's being introduced as well with Black Lives Matter is that we keep wanting to point out all the faults and all the things that Black Lives Matter is doing, but then what we fail to realize is that Black Lives Matter is just life put on them under a microscope. It's just putting all our issues that we have, so we end up being divided when we need to start realizing that every issue that keeps coming up is a product of the same enemy, which is oppression. Oppression is the first and foremost target when it comes to all these issues. If we do away with that and we start addressing and actually putting the equality into practice, then we do away with all these notions from class to separation, segregation that's happening right now. It won't affect us as much, because if we start looking at each other as human to human, I don't see any problem going forward.
All right, nice.
Yeah, well, fire for capitalism, right? Because there cannot be equality whilst there is capitalism. And we also have to realize that as we are people of diverse, right, tendencies and so forth, trying to equalize ones and ones based on perception that you have to come up to my level or I have to go down to your level, it cannot work, right? We have to be valuing ones and ones values, not looking at ones in a way how I can be better. Again, that becomes now the capitalized mind. But looking at, we can help one another. We can move together, right? Learning to have tolerance towards one another, so that the respect for, because there's also a thin line where, because of our diversity, right, we might tread on and want to hurt one on one's feelings, right? Now, we still have to be truthful to one another.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have to be forced to like you if I already say one love.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Great.
Because there are certain things that you may do that I don't do.
Yeah.
Right? But it shouldn't stop me if I see that there are things that we can do together. You see what I'm saying? Right? These are the things where we say now we bring that tolerance towards one another. As long as we know where I'm not going to tread on your foot and cause problem, right? And you're not going to cause me problem, we can coexist and work together and move things forward.
Yeah, 100%.
That is where we can equalize, right, our liberties, right, and recognize that there is beauty in the diversity of working together and putting it together as one.
Right?
You see what I'm saying?
See it.
Right? So, yeah, with these few words, yeah, I would say let us recognize, you know, the differences that we have. Put practical value that can help us to work together, coexist together, live together, right, and be as one in that one love, exception.
Blessed love. Oh yeah, so like thank you guys, thank you for the discussion today. It was very, very thought-provoking. Like I said, I hope hopefully the people that are watching us right now also some wheels are turning in their heads right now, and they're trying to have an understanding of like or how they can move forward with fourth industrial revolution coming in. I just want to find out, you can definitely find out more about what we're talking about on the internet. Go look it up. If you want to catch, we're probably going to have more discussions like this, not on the same topic, but it's related to other important topics to Black, African, and Rasta people all over the planet. So if you want to stay tuned in, you should keep checking out Mojo Urban Culture. You can check us out. I don't know, the elder wants to let people know where they can find you and check out, because we also have a talented elder right here with us in terms of reggae music. So if you want to find out where you can get his music and listen to it, please, elder, let us know. Yeah, well, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, you know, it's there. There's 2 albums that are going up on there. And any little thing that we are doing, we know is YouTube, Facebook, you know, and the main thing, is we would love to continue and, you know, promote the oneness that we need to have to bring that trust and work in one together, unity together. So by music, we'll help to also eat a little bread, you know, and the family too. And once the lockdown come out, then we can do more shows. I'm willing to do any more workshops, motivation, to ones-on-ones to help us understand what we're into and how we can find a way forward. So, blessed love. Blessed love. So we'll definitely, I'm pretty sure, Ongai, you're still going to be with us, so we're keen to have more of these discussions. We're going to be hearing more of the Black empowered woman and her perspective on everything that's going to be happening, you know, going into this time where things have shifted, you know. Definitely. All right. Thank you, guys, and we'll check you next time. Blessed love. Bless.